This is UPfront. I am Blessed Sogah. We can confirm to you that President John Dramani Mahama has touched down at the Kotoka International Airport after a week-long engagement in China. What took the president there initially has got to do with women empowerment, but it ended up culminating in some more deals which the Chinese people and the government of Ghana are working on, and that includes a big announcement on the possibility of a zero-tariff deal between the government of Ghana and the People's Republic of China. I want to take you online now to give you a sense of what President John Dramani Mahama took to social media to post about his engagement with Chinese President Xi Jinping. And let me just read excerpts of that comment to you to situate our conversation and for us to explore the possible implications of that near zero-tariff deal that the government of Ghana and China will be reaching in the next few days, if it goes well, right? Because the president on Facebook pointed out that in China and during bilateral engagements with President Xi Jinping, he's confirmed an additional grant, first of all, of 200 million Chinese yuan to the people of Ghana. In addition to that, will be an earlier grant of 200 million yuan for the construction of the proposed Aplau market and renovation of the National Theatre here in Accra. Now, the Aplau market will be an important trading platform linking Ghana and Togo, according to President John Dramani Mahama, and that will be key to resetting Ghana as part of his campaign pledge. Beyond that now, the president is confirming to us that Ghana, quote, is looking forward to finalizing a zero-tariff policy with China by the end of October. And that, of course, feeds into all other conversations that the president has been having, mindful of issues of illegal mining, the 24-hour economy, and the others, which the two parties believe will yield mutual prosperity for both countries. But will a zero-tariff regime be beneficial to a country called Ghana, which does less in terms of its export than it imports? That's the conversation we're having tonight. And of course, this is where I want to bring in two gentlemen who are helping us do the discussion for tonight. In studio with me is Samson Asakia Wingobit. He needs no introduction because Samson Asakia Wingobit is president of the Importers and Exporters Association. So they know a lot more about imports and exports and what would apply if we're running that zero tariff regime. Samson, it's good to have you. Yeah, and yeah, it is. We'll be talking about a lot more and possibly veering off into some other areas of interest for you.
Thank you.
But I want to go online first and bring in Paul Frimpong. He's the Executive Director for the China Africa Center. And Paul, thank you for connecting with us. Paul, let me start off with you because this arrangement has never been witnessed before in the entire history of our bilateral relations with the People's Republic of China. What do you feel is, first of all, influencing this grand announcement by the president that by the end of October, possibly we may be having a zero-tariff arrangement between the People's Republic of China and the Republic of Ghana?
Thank you very much for having me. Basically, just a bit of background. So this is not something that is emanating from Ghana in the sense that President announced it, but it's actually emanating from China. So in 2024, China extended tariff-free access to LDCs, which is lead developing countries, and out of that, 33 were in Africa. That's 2024, effect 2024. And then a year later, which is almost a year later, June this year, China announced that it's extending unilaterally, the word is unilaterally, extending this zero tariff to all 53 countries in Africa that have diplomatic relations with China. Remember, there's a country like Eswatini that does not have diplomatic relations with China. Therefore, they will not be able to enjoy this tariff-free access. So the first point is that in June, President Xi Jinping announced this tariff-free access to all 53 countries in Africa, including Ghana, which had diplomatic relations with China. And so before this announcement, 33 were already enjoying. Now 20 countries have been added to the list. Now the next phase is about how to implement this tariff-free access as China announced. So the first point again is that this is a unilateral decision that was taken by China. It did not at the time consult or put into any form of consultation with any country. All the 20 new countries did not consult them. It just announced that henceforth they want to allow duty-free access to all other 20 countries that have diplomatic relations with China, making it 53 countries in Africa. Now, the issues around the free access, of course, you can understand why China has been towing this line. That's why I gave the historical context that they've already done that before for LDCs, which Ghana is not part of because you're not an LDC country. And therefore, for them as China, it's more of the fact that, okay, we spent decades, if not a century, to build a global system. The WTO, as you know, when it was formed, and China itself, I think 2001 or so before it joined the WTO, and ever since has been trying to position itself as a partner for trade and development. So as we've seen in recent times, in recent months, as we've seen the US actually imposing tariff on countries, China is going the opposite, which has always been the modus operandi of China, of course. Try to bridge or take up space that has been left by mostly our traditional partners. So for them, it's a strategy that they have been deployed for over decades now, especially in the context of Africa when it started the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation since 2000. So China has been very strategic. They've laid down the rules of engagement, most of the time unilaterally taking a decision, because at the end of the day, they do not want to position themselves as imposing something on countries that could backfire to them. So they usually take unilateral decisions and allow countries to respectively decide if they want to take advantage of this announcement that they've made. So clearly, that's where we are now in terms of tariff-free access.
Let me take your thoughts on the timeline. By the end of October, that's quite ambitious, knowing that no other African country is running as fast as we are doing now.
Yes, I think you're right. I think it's very ambitious because when you look at a tariff-free access and the nature with which China announced it, there are a lot of WTO rules of engagement that need to be applied and make sure this is not being breached because of this tariff-free access. And there's a principle that we need to most favored nation clause that needs to be applied, and that clause it only allowed China to give duty-free access to least developed countries, which Ghana is not part of it. Now, if as it is announced by China, if they want to ensure that Ghana is part of it, what it means is that a country like Brazil or India, which is not an LDC, because China is now allowing duty-free access to Ghana, India can also rise to WTO and ensure that China also applies the same tariff-free access to them. And it's what's supposed to happen. But in this case, the only caveat, the only way that this duty-free access can work in the case of Ghana and China, where other countries will not also rise on the back of the WTO of most favored nation clause, is that Ghana must also give something to China. That's what we call a reciprocity. So even though China is the one that announced it unilaterally, if Ghana, as we have by October, we want to enjoy duty-free access, because of course there are a lot of benefits, but one of the challenges that I want to bring up is the challenge of reciprocity, that we cannot enjoy because of the status of our economy. We are not an LDC, we are not a least developed country, we are a middle income country thereabout. So because of that status, we cannot enjoy duty-free access to China without presenting something free to China as well, to also have access to.
There's obviously no free lunch, so I believe in that principle. But here's the biggest question in the room, and the elephant in the room, if I should say.
The elephant.
Okay. Do you honestly believe that we can benefit from this deal? Some say it's China's advantage, it's to China's advantage, if I should say, because we don't produce, we don't export as much. I wonder what we're going to be sending to China, by the way.
I think it's unfair to box everything to the box that, okay, we are not going to benefit, because what are we fighting for? Remember when US announced tariff, 15% tariff, what were we saying? I mean, does it mean that we don't have anything that we export to the US? And then why are we crying over the US tariff? I mean, we should then accept 50%, 100% tariff on our export to the US. Obviously, that's not the case. So there are definitely benefits for us as a country if we're able to leverage on its free access to the Chinese market. The onus is not on China. So the question is not whether China is going to benefit. Of course, they're going to benefit. We all know they're going to benefit. But the issue is about how we intend to benefit. And of course, remember, we've launched our own flagship program, that we run a 24-hour economy, which a huge part of that is export diversification angle, which is we want to add more value and export to where, of course, we have the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. We're trying to ratify as much as possible to ensure we can export and trade among ourselves, which is a key part of what we're trying to do. But then again, having access to the Chinese market, it's huge for us. There are a lot of angles in terms of even not our cash crop export. There are a lot of non-traditional export that we can take advantage of the tariff-free access and export to China. US is imposing tariff on the things that we are exporting to the US. If China is granted access free, it doesn't matter how much little we are exporting, it is a gain for us. It also makes our product in the Chinese market very
competitive. So you're basically saying small gains.
The cost of export to China is reduced, and therefore, when a product gets to the Chinese market, we can compete in terms of pricing from other products that are coming to China as well.
Okay, so small gains. That's how you're describing this. Small gains for the country. Small gains. But it's significant, you believe, because after all, we wouldn't have been benefiting, but anyway.
Exactly, because obviously, as of now, whatever we are exporting to China, we are paying, and people are exporting to China. It's not like we are not exporting anything to China. They are paying on it. So if it's going to be free, then of course, there's no way we can say we are not going to benefit. But it has to be based on our own grand scheme. Again, there's also the inverse of even investment that can come in, because with this, we can be able to attract more investment to whatever manufacturing or agro-processing, structures of sectors that we have that we're trying to be pushed for a while, because we have access to a market that we know we can export to. So obviously there's that layer of benefit as well. But on the surface, obviously, the cost of exporting a product or goods to Chinese market is now going to be zero if we're able to across all the T's and of course meet all the WTO requirements of this kind of tariff-free access. Okay,
here's what I want us to do. Paul, just hold on for me. Let me bring in Samson Asakia Wingubit, President of the Importers and Exporters Association. Do you first of all believe that it's good news for us?
Well, good evening to your cherished viewers, listeners. I must say that yes, this is a very good relief to us. As Paul just said, can already be exporting into the Chinese market. Right. However, we are paying, so this time around we are no longer going to pay, and we are going to have a huge 100% market entrant. If you look at the analysis that the president made when he was addressing his colleagues, he made it clear. The statistics was that in 2023 or 2024, thereabout, the import that came from China to Ghana was about 43% or so. And then the export that went was about 13 or 11% or so. So quite clearly, because we are paying, now that we are not going to pay, we are going to do vigorous market penetration, exhibitions, road shows, and stuff.
For you, this is more money for you.
Yes, this is going to be more money. But you know what? But I have a two critique that I want to make.
Right.
Mr. President, knowing that he was prepared to go to China and look for good market for us, I was expecting the president from day one to be flamboyant dressed the way I dressed. This is ours. What he dressed, even though it's made in Ghana, but we can't claim that this is from Ghana. But if you had gone with the way he went to UN with the huge smoke, including all his entourage, all they could have wear kente with all his entourage, and for him to tell them,
this is controversial.
This
is made in Ghana.
Clearly. Yes,
but you would associate this.
We can take patent. We call it patent property or what do you call it?
Yeah.
On this, but with this, we can take patent. On kente, we can take patent. You know about that. To say that this is our product. I've seen Minister of Trade.
My goodness.
Minister of Trade wore.
This is Ghanaian. Ghanaian made this.
No. Did you see Minister of Trade dress? That is Ghanaian. That is ours. So, no, I'm only saying that in the near future, because we are going to sell Ghana out. We are going to export. First lady as well, I think as well dress the same thing. But Mr. President, to the foreign minister, to other ministers that I've saw there, are in coat and tie. No. Not. We should have been in Ghana made.
How does that secure us a zero tariff?
Yes, and in fact, you know what? The president should have even put one of the smoke or one of the kente on the Chinese president. You know the Chinese people. If you give them our product, even sit talk and our president takes some to his mouth and the Chinese president took some on their national television, you would have seen the number of people that from China were asking for sito or smokes or kente from Ghana.
Really?
I'm telling you, I'm being frank. Mr. President is my very good friend, but I think that we can't say this is from Ghana, even though it's from Ghana. But what will make us unique, all of them in kente. All of them in smoke. with yam. They prepare yam, they eat yam. They know, hey, Ghanaian,
and you want the president to carry yam from Ghana all the way to China?
Of course, yes. That's why you go with business delegation. Do you know this delegation?
Right.
When I look at the list, across the list, I do not see traders be part of this delegation. I saw only government officials, Exim Bank, Export Promotion Authority, Free Zones, Minister of Trade, Agribusiness, and others. But we, the practical people, I did not see. I read the list, but I don't know if they were silent on those who went in Australia. So the traders have also gone with some product to say this is our product. That's how we are going to win most of it. But never mind, it's a good thing. Mr. President has done well. But what it means is that we shouldn't come and sit and relax. Agencies like Free Zone, agencies like Ghana Export Promotion Authority, agencies like Food and Fed, Ghanaian Federation of Exporters, and Importers and Exporters, they have to take us along. They have to create, the ambassador there will not rest. He has to create business, B2B business. He has to create conferences. He has to create exhibitions. Let Ghanaians take our product. Look,
you know, that's why I was honestly asking the question earlier. That are we really going to benefit from this when we don't produce as much?
Oh, no, we have a lot that we can. Mangoes, pawpaw. Look, what I think we should do is to analyze or research and know, okay, the Chinese people, what do they want from Ghana? So that we will mastermind. You know, when you go to China, they have what we call province. Like we have regions. Yeah. So the 16 regions, if you go to Upper East region, what are we, what do we stand to gain? Or what are we, do we have capacity in producing? So if you go to the Upper East region, smokes is being waved, basket, that's that basket that they've been taking, and then that hat. Yeah. So that's where we are. You go to a central region, maybe Boyire, Kente. You go to maybe Oti, maybe Kakadro, Ginger. Okay. You go to Cape Coast. Maybe they also have beads, or they have something that creative act. So if we are able to profile, then we know exactly what they want. Then in every region, you say, look, everybody produces. If you go to China, that's what they do. You go to China, you go to a province, they are vehicle manufacturing, they are vehicle manufacturing. They are tractors manufacturing, they are tractors manufacturing. They are machinery for production manufacturing, they are that. They are for branding shoes, foes. You know, many Ghanaians go to China to buy foes. This boot that we wear, sneakers that we wear. If China, they produce, they are not producing, and look at who is coming to buy. All what they are doing is they deliberately produce. Then they are off-takers. So what we should do, we should also encourage, when we profile and know exactly what they need from us, then we should also encourage manufacturers to just produce. Then there are people who will also do the trade. They will do the off-takers and then take it too. So it's a big market for us. Now, there's going to be, if care is not taken, you see America will reverse that 50% rate. You market on the wall. Now that China, the Chinese government is now opening the market and say, Ghana, bring your produce 100%. The U.S. market, because our people cannot pay that 15%.
You can't pay?
So of course, yes.
But you should be able to pay. I
have exporters who complain to me that they've taken their shea butter to the U.S. market and they were made to pay the 15%. The person is crying. I'm telling you, he's crying. Even though the president, in addressing the second convoy of the what do you call it, the time he was seeing of the swearing in the second envoys, he made it clear. The president made it clear that look, Ghana government is in talks with the America. But you see, why do we wait till the 30th came, September came before we are still saying we are in talks? Because I remember that the U.S. government or the president earlier announced 10%. Then later say, okay, because there was so many countries lambasting, moratorium, 3 months, countries to come and negotiate. China went. China was given 154. China said, okay, no, they were given 150. And China said, okay, American product come to their market, 154. They came back and forth. American government say, okay, 30. They say 34. Right now, Donald Trump is threatening that he will go 100%. So the people went back to and say, okay, African countries who have their embassies with my country, I'm giving you market entrance.
I see. So that's why you feel the balance will come through.
Come again.
That's why you feel the balance will come through.
Exactly. Exactly. So I know that definitely it's a good thing, because we are also exporting more into the U.S. market. Now that we have this blockade that people have started paying and complaining, then the China market is there. But our product, we need to do vigorous market. So the president will have to tax his Minister of Trade and Agribusiness, tax his CEOs of, Exim Bank and Free Zones and Ghana Export Promotion Authority and other institutions, and to also encourage banks to give maybe some lower rate percentage of loans to people to produce more and we export. They really need our market. They need. At the last time we saw Ghana top 5 commodities that we were exporting. I think the non-traditional commodity were also, I think it was at number 2 or number 3, and that can give us much hard currency back into the economy. So I think that President Mahama has done extremely very well, except that I wanted him to, he should have made my day by wearing smoke, make it all the government appointees follow him with kente and smokes or whatever.
As for that point, that's a very controversial point.
No, it is a good point. We can't. I say we cannot.
It's controversial.
We cannot have patent to this, but we can have patent to this. We are selling.
No, I mean
we are selling. Have you ever seen me wearing suit? Since I've been doing import and export, have you seen me wearing suit? Have you ever? I'm asking you. Anytime you see me on TV, either I'm in smoke or I do also wear this. But if I'm going outside the country, I went to Philippines.
Ghanaian.
I will show you pictures. I went to Philippines in 2024 in November for International Rice Trade. When I went there, I wear smokes throughout. The people were running after you. Where from you? I said Ghana. Someone they say Nkrumah Ghana. Yes. So something must identify as unique.
And you know,
and we sell.
This will do.
Oh no, I disagree with you. Slightly disagree with you. Mr. President, I know he knows better. He could have worn Gonja land. You know, Gonjas, they have very quality fabrics. They have very quality fabrics, smokes. The one that he wore at the presidency. Gonjas, they are very, very
Let me ask you a question.
Fabrics.
If a Ghanaian produces a jacket or a suit, it ceases to be a Ghanaian product?
You can produce, Ghanaian can produce suit. But you know the origin of suit, so you can't take patent. I said we can take patent to this.
Okay.
As I'm sitting here, lovely. Can watch on the screen that I look different from you. I look more handsome than you. Because you are wearing someone, you see, you are building someone economy.
That's an attack on me. That's an attack on me.
Oh, it's true. We want to build our own economy. I want to see you every day wearing Ghanaian wear.
The handsome Samson.
Okay, you are the handsome man. You take the handsome.
No, I won't click that. I'm giving everything to you on the show, please. And we're going to pay you for being handsome today.
Thank you very much.
But let me bring in Paul. And Paul, you've been listening in the concerns of Samson. That let's take advantage of what's unique to us, right? What's unique to Ghana, and then we can sell it to the Chinese market. Will the Chinese market be that open?
Yes, I did, of course. I mean, from what he's saying, what I glean from it is that we need to move from rhetoric.
Yeah, and I hope you're not offended. He says he's the most handsome amongst all three.
No, I'm okay with that. Yeah. So I believe that the import of what he's saying is that we need to move from rhetoric to production. Yeah. Now, first of all, it's a non-starter for anybody to argue that because we are not producing much, therefore we don't need tariff-free access. I think that is a non-starter. We shouldn't entertain that thought, because obviously what every country wants is to get as much as possible free access to as many markets as possible, even if you're not producing anything. That can give you an opportunity to really assess the market, as he mentioned. Now it's about time for our export diversification or export-driven strategy to now be implemented in a very effective way. But first of all, assessing and analyzing Chinese market and identifying those things, probably because we are not exporting much to China because we didn't know that we can have access to opportunity. Now that we can identify the things that we believe we can have the competitive advantage to produce.
Is there anything China hasn't produced yet?
Yes, of course.
There are a lot of local stuff. In fact, in recent times, they even announced in some East African, like what do you call it? They produce almost everything, but it's not everything that they can get in China. Absolutely. And some of them they need. You know, there's an exhibition that I was part of, organized by a certain development consultancy firm. In fact, the I don't know how to put it. These what do you call bracelets that we do with the beads and all of that. When we went there, in fact, the Chinese were all over on it. They were very fascinated. They were buying the chains that were made by the beads and some of the local fabrics that we have. So obviously, there are so many things that we can produce that they don't have. And again, China also imports, as you can see, the import basket. Of course, not everything that they produce that they consume. They also have access to certain things. Again, even the new consumer preference of the new Chinese consumers. Now. Some of them are very conscious now in terms of the kind of things they want to consume because of the environment, because of climate. There are a lot of other sensitive issues that are played now in terms of the new Chinese consumers that are available. So obviously, if we can prove the source that is more sustainable, we have an advantage. It doesn't matter if they are produced in China, they have same produced in China or not. So obviously, this is an opportunity. But then again, what I wanted to stress on is the risk that is posed in terms of reciprocity. As we know, obviously, we need to present something in return.
Okay, so let me just get to it and put that to you. What must give on the part of Ghana in your view?
Yeah, so for me, from where I sit, I think it's something that we can, I'm sure, maybe that's what the government of Ghana is exploring. Now, as we speak today, I mean, through the data that we have at the port, we know the import basket from China, because every country, the source, we have the source, the origins of everything that we import into the country. So I'm sure we can get the data for the last 10 years or 20 years in terms of what we've been importing from China, right? That's the import data in terms of between Ghana and China. Now, on that import data, I am sure we can know the things that we import more and the things that we import less, right? And also, based on that import data, we can juxtapose that to our domestic capacity, right? We can, all those data can be classified into sectors as well. And we know the sectors that we've actually spent much investment on locally to actually revive it. And we can also identify along that same list the things that really, as of now, we do not have the capacity, or we are not really involved, or even the import of it is very small, right? So, and it will not hurt some local or certain sectors of our local economy, right? So we can select those things based on the analysis that we do, based on sector impact on the sector, based on the volumes that we import.
Yeah, I get that. But in your view, what must give? I mean, practically speaking, what must give, Paul?
That I cannot tell you now because I don't have access to that data.
No, but
yeah, we could risk that. But the reason why I'm asking you is that the skeptics will tell us that, look, it's simply going to be the business as usual. Gold, your precious minerals, all of them being shipped off, because that's your greatest advantage. You don't have any industries to produce as much.
Let me make this point. So I mean, all shipped off, whichever thing that we exporting to China, there's no issue here. The things that China is open to, it's not raw. It's not only raw product. Of course. China is saying that you can only export only raw product into my market. Everything between raw, semi-processed, end processed, or finished product. So it's up to us. If we are able to refine our gold and resell it to China, why not? I mean, that is not China's business to decide. It's up to us to decide what the nature of what we are exporting. Because everything that we have, the gold, everything we are selling almost everything. All the things that we are producing, we want to sell. We want to boost our export earnings. That's why we even have now the 24-hour economy. We have a lot of institutions that are mandated to ensure that we can produce more and then we can export. Now, of course, the challenge we've had is that we're just exporting raw, something in the raw state, or even finished product. The issue about this tariff-free access is almost everything in between. It's not that you have to export only raw. So it doesn't matter what we're exporting to China, as long as it is our capacity that we have the capacity to export to China. Of course, I mean, it's open to us. We can earn more from that access.
I think that in the Chinese market, they like our vegetables. Okay, they like our cucumbers, they like our garden eggs, they like they also eat yam, of course. They like our mango, they like our pawpaw, they like our oranges, if you go to Brazil right now.
Why are we skipping the most important part?
Yes.
Gold, right? Yes. The precious mineral. It's a conversation we need to have because we're not adding value to all of these.
So I'm coming. So I'm telling you what, when you talk of export and I sit here, I'm looking at non-traditional commodity. Yeah. I'm not looking at the traditional commodity. We already know that globally gold is needed everywhere, isn't it? And so, but the non-traditional commodity is where that we can push more to bring more proceeds back into the country. And so I'm profiling product that they will need. Like you go to the Upper East region, the Thai and diabetic people, those who do the basket weavers, the Chinese people, they like those things. Those funny things. They put, especially the thing that they use to wave the hat that they wear in the afternoon. In China, every day people is carrying umbrella. So that is a shade, in form of a shade for them. easy to wear. They will pick it. Do you understand? You talk about, I'm talking about smoke, of course. I'm talking about Kente, Bonire, and Asante region. Even though they copy, you know, sometimes they copy. They are very smart in copying. So if you go to China now, they also have Kente. Do you know that? But they haven't gotten the knowledge to copy it. So we can use this as one of the yardstick to say, let's produce. So go give resources to the Gonja people, the Upper East people, the Northern region, Tamale people, to produce more of this in large quantities, then off-takers are there. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the only place. You know, like hot pepper. Chinese, they eat a lot of pepper. So we produce a lot of chili pepper and other things here. We can export. We can add value, and export. Ginger. They like ginger. You know, the Chinese people, they like medicine. You see, we are here, we talk about, every day we talk about diabetes and what. Have you ever heard the Chinese people suffering in diabetes and other things? Because they like herbs. When they are eating, they don't drink water. They drink tea. Their tea itself is a medicine. I hope you are getting. So these are the areas. And that's why I said that the Minister of Minister of Trade and Agribusinesses has a lot of job at hand to make sure that the researchers actually go and research. And as I said, they believe in province. Each province and what they want. What do they want from Ghana? Then they come to tell us. They come to engage us. To create resources. To create market awareness. And not just China as market. I think now with the American imposition 15% on us, we should also look market even on the Far East, Asia and the rest. Okay? So that we can take our products there. And so we have a lot.
As for the gold, yeah, okay, you were just going to.
As for the gold will go. And now that thankfully Gold Board says by October ending or so, they're going to set up the Aran airport to add value to our gold and then for export. So that I'm happy that we are no longer going to export our gold on the raw state as it is. Then we go to the Free Zone Enclave. We also have companies that produce shea butter. You know, China, there are millions of them. So they also produce cosmetics. So we go to the Northern region where we produce shea butter is being produced. Then we grow. We encourage the farmers to grow. And then those who will also buy and produce shea butter, and we export. Not just exporting the raw shea butter assets, but we add value addition to it, then we can bring more. And that's why President Mahama talked about the Isolated Export Development Committee, which I'm in that committee. So, and our cocoa products. You go to Free Zone, you also have companies that prepare cocoa drinks, chocolate. You know, the Chinese, they like our chocolate. Our chocolate is very quality to them. So we export. So I think we'll have a lot to export, apart from the traditional commodities that we are talking about, gold, bauxite, timber, and the rest. No? These are the areas that we can, and these are the areas that can also create a lot, many jobs for the youth who are looking for a job. Look, in China, how did they start it? They did not start with big factories. They started with, some of them started in their veranda, their bedroom. And because with time, they've rolled over, they become big factories today. In Ghana, we just think that if somebody who put a big factory and start producing, that's the person. That person may even end up collapsing. But when you do it small and you grow, you understand your risk level. And that's how Chinese did. So if we can understand, people who grow cotton should grow cotton because we have the market. If you produce, we'll take it to China. They will buy. That's the song, that's the music, that should be the advert that we should take along to all regions. Oti region, you go to Oti, people tell you there are no factories. Okay, there are no factories, but you have vast land. Your chili pepper, your ginger, kakadru is needed somewhere. Whether we add value dried or fresh, it's needed somewhere. Everybody go into kakadru farming. Then we farm in large scale. And I'm happy with President Mahama, district level machinery.
I was just going to say, honestly, as importers and exporters, what matters also most to you is about the exchange rate.
Exactly.
And at what rate you're trading.
No, so if you send the product to China, they will have to pay in their rand, but it will land, they have to pay us in dollars.
Yes.
They have to pay us in dollars. So
I was just going to that.
Yes. So we are going to bring much more proceeds back home, and that can stabilize the city as it's happening now. We need export proceeds to come and then stabilize our city. And which we need it, and especially the non-traditional commodity. So we don't hustle exporting gold, but we hustle looking for market for non-traditional commodities. And this is one of the biggest market that I can tell you, if you do it and do it well, if the ministry come and don't sit at the ministry alone and call some of us to also join and advocate, let the people understand that, look, go and read the thing, if you are a farmer, you are a failure. It's no longer like that. When you go to in America and Vietnam and the rest, there are engineers, there are doctors, there are bankers who are into farming.
I see.
And so farm, yours is to produce. There's an off-taker.
Okay,
that's what we're supposed to do.
Paul, let me bring you in. There's a whole gamut of announcement that the president made in that post, except to say that, well, the biggest appears to be the zero tariff deal. We're still on the lookout for that at the end of October, if that will work out. But let's go back to the post from President John Dramani Mahama. Let's have that on the screen because that's very crucial to the conversation we're having. I just wanted to point you to some more pledges that the Chinese president made to the people of Ghana. That includes roughly some 200 million yuan that will be released for the flower market and the
flower market. Sorry.
Why is China doing all of this, Paul?
Well, I think it's so there's a background or history to what has been happening between countries in Africa, with Ghana inclusive, and China. And so last year in the Beijing summit, right? So China announced $51 billion of investment lines. You know, it's a mixture. We have investments, you have grant, and of course you have interest-free, loan as well, and including some specific projects China announced that for the next 3 years, $51 billion is what China is making available to all 53 countries that have diplomatic relations with them. And so what happens is that when that kind of pledge is made, in that forum, I would say every 3 years, countries are then given the opportunity to structure their own developmental agenda, then present a proposal to the appropriate, quarters in China to engage them. And obviously, it's a recipient-driven approach that China runs. What that means is that when China makes such a pledge, it behoves on the countries that are involved to then approach China that we are doing these projects, we need this in support. Obviously, it's not, as you mentioned, there's nothing like free lunch. For China, some of these grants, some of these support, it works like the whole donor structure that we have, that we've been dealing with all these centuries, right? So even if the US aid were supporting our healthcare sector, it might come as a free money, but of course we understand the implication of that, in the medium to the long term. It's the same approach that China has, but just that China has been very consistent in terms of the kind of support that it believes can be made available to partnering countries. It's not just to African countries, but of course countries across Asia and of course the Europe as well. So in this case, Ghana made a case that, okay, we believe that if we can support us in this area to help us. In fact, even in recent time, we heard what we call the climate summit, the Ghana-China Climate Summit. And as was mentioned by the Minister of Climate Change and Sustainability, there's going to be an engagement with the Chinese counterpart on certain support, technical or financial, to help Ghana's climate agenda, the green development agenda that we have.
All right,
so
you agree with me now.
Works in that line that it has to be a recipient driven. So we approach that based on this credit line that has been made available, $51 billion. We believe that this and this. I'm sure this is just the first because it just happened last year. For the next 3 years, we need to strategize and see where we can take advantage. And I believe this is just one of them.
I think
you agree with me, and something I'll come back to you in a bit. You agree with me now that there's no free lunch. How much more freebies should we continue to take from the Chinese people? And as controversial as it may sound, the experts say that there's the existence of a Chinese debt trap. Do you believe in that anyway?
There's no debt trap. I think that is it was, of course, was coined by an Indian researcher and of course become a very strong propaganda tool in the Western policy room. But there's no evidence to suggest that there's a debt trap. Debt trap in itself is very condescending in a way. If you look at the narrative behind the debt trap, it's like, okay, I'm giving you money. I know you cannot pay, and I'll come back to take your house. It's in a way, it's telling that you yourself, you don't have sense. It's like you just there, somebody just telling you that somebody's giving you money, and then if you don't pay, the person will take it back from you. It's like our agency is taken out of the situation. Again, as I did mention, that's why I mentioned that most of the engagement between African countries and China is recipient driven. So if it's recipient driven, then how then can you blame China that is giving you resources or giving you financial support and because you're not able to pay, they'll come and take your asset. You are the one who approach China. You bring project, they assess, there's negotiation. There are teams from both countries, Ghana and China, will sit and negotiate. So if somebody stands on the side and tell you that China is giving you money, it's like we are not using our head. It's like we don't know what we're doing with China. And that is very condescending in the first place. Again, there's never been any evidence anywhere in the world that suggests that China has given financial support to a country. You're not able to pay, therefore they're confiscating your assets. So that is very flawed. But coming back to your question, there's nothing like freebies. What has been the campaign of countries in Africa since we ended colonialism, right? The conversation is very simple. Now we want to move from the petty conundrum where we are there in countries to send mosquito nets and send you some nearly expiring drugs to test on your people and all of that. We said no. We want to do business. We want partnership. We want people or countries, partners that will see us as doing business together. And again, we identify certain gaps. What are the gaps? We need infrastructure. We want to build our roads, we want to build our hospitals, we want to build an education system. So we need a partner that first can give us the sort of capacity that we need, that can give us, of course, the credit line that we need, and of course, then give us the speed at which we can do the things that we do. And guess what? China was the one that since 2000 has been able to do most of the tangible infrastructure we have across many countries in Africa is because of the partnership we have with China. So it's not freebies. These are continuous engagements that we have with China. If it's freebies, then of course it means that China is not getting anything from Ghana. There's freebies here. There's always a give and take aspect that we have. In fact, when we did the Sino-Hydro deal, that became a very controversial issue in the long run. It was a very smart move, just like the gold for oil project that we talked about, right? In recent times, the government was talking about, right? It's a smart move. What was the Sino-Hydro? It was resources for infrastructure. Again, you run the cycle. You take your gold in the raw stage, you export, you get the money coming. You all know the issues around corruptions and the illicit financial flows in and around. And the little that we have, then we go and find contractors, then we pay them with that money. Why go through all this stress when, again, your target is to use the infrastructure, the resources that we have in the country? So for me, these are some of the things that we need to look at. So it's not necessarily that it's freebies in the sense. It's according to our own development priority. That's why China runs a recipient-driven model. So we decide what kind of project we want to do with China. And we sit on the table to discuss and negotiate because they also have interest. These are not free money. These are Chinese citizens, taxpayers' money.
Yeah, I get that. Very crucial point. Very crucial point you're raising. Very crucial point. The last leg of our conversation will be on small-scale mining because the president talked about that. But Samson, are there really Chinese businesses doing business with you here in Ghana?
Yeah, a lot.
Your association? You have a lot of them doing business.
A lot. I mean, if you look at the brochure, really important. AU, China Market, China Mall, and the rest. They are here. They are bringing Zonda and the rest. They are all products from China. I mean, they are very visible from every region. You can find them doing businesses with us. But what the question you asked my colleague, Paul, I can tell you, Chinese will not just give you money for free. One of the conditions, perhaps, and I'm saying this, if they start the flower market, probably I'm sure one of the conditions will be Chinese contractor. Because mostly, I'm saying, because mostly when they give their fund, you see that they want their people to execute the contracts. So if it's about, I think there are two things, right? The first one amount was for what?
That's the first 200 million. Second 200 million will be for the market. Probably we'll get back to the post, and I'm sure that works.
Exactly. So if it's for about construction or infrastructure development, definitely it's going to be executed by their engineers, perhaps, and that's what I look at. So that they have a way of giving the money and they have a way of taking the money back. And then the other aspect, maybe I don't know if they want to do any BOT with the government of Ghana. I remember President said when he was going, that I didn't see it in his Facebook post. I don't know how far with it. But the President said if he goes to China, he's going to have something on his armpit for that Otiri Damba area, that bridge.
Oh, the stretch.
The stretch that they were going to construct to link north, so that people bringing cargo from Burkina Faso and others can easily pass through that corridor, the bridge.
Instead of piling pressure on the site.
So instead of coming through Asante, so I don't know whether that is the first one or that one too is a different thing because it's silent. They haven't said anything about it. Because the president emphasized if you go to China, if he had the opportunity, he would tell his counterpart that this is what he wants to do. Because they did the first, I think the first one, they did something for us.
Yeah.
And the second one is what
he's asking for.
Exactly. Then the other aspect of whether Chinese people are doing business is obviously, we have Chinese people doing clearing in this country, which I am frowned with it. Not only Chinese people per se, but because we are discussing. Last time, I told my colleagues from Freight Forest, GIF, and Cuba that they are creating a bigger problem for Ghanaians because there are certain jobs that are limited, solely limited to indigenous. Clearing company to go to the port and clear a cargo for a business person should surely be Ghanaians alone. But you go to a port, you see Lebanese, you see Indians, you see Chinese people all have companies that have registered. If you go to custom tell you it's not their fault because they are there, then they bring letter from GIF or they bring letter from Cuba that they are a member, and so they register them. But they and shipping lines to have taken that opportunity. Now you have Ghanaians go there. More, if you look at the last 5 years, as he said, you see that there have been the number of volume. As you speak, MPS alone or report have done over 1.something million containers already. And we have not ended the fourth quarter. And if you go and ask how many of the Ghanaian agents actually cleared this cargo, and how many of this cargo went to the Lebanese agents, because it's the Lebanese people who are importing more. It is the Chinese people who are importing more. It is the Indians who are importing more into this country. And now they have found ways and means to take the job from our people. And that I blame that why will GIF sit down and allow such a thing to happen? Because, you know, when the oil industry came, the local content law, it was a bill, now it's a law. That at least 70% should be Ghanaian owned. But when you go to the port, they rather take people, Ghanaian, who have done the proficiency certificate with custom, and then Ghanaian will go and give to them, and then at the end of the month, they give you 3,000 or 2,000. It's meaningless. But if you were clearing, you will make millions of Ghana cedis from your work. So I think that if you ask me that, are they here, I will tell you they are here doing their business, and they are even clearing by themselves, which shouldn't have been.
Okay. The last leg of our conversation, illegal mining, the president talking there about small-scale mining, but obviously that will come up as well because, very often we see the reports, isn't it, Paul, about Chinese nationals involved in illegal mining. The president says there's some discussion in that regard about small-scale mining, he says.
Yes, obviously. I mean, it's a big issue that we've been dealing with as a country. No one can ignore the devastating impact of illegal mining on their livelihood. You know, our very existence. It threatens our very existence. So obviously, we cannot overlook the involvement of nationals from other countries, especially as we've seen in recent time. Most of the time, we have Chinese nationals being involved. As far as illegal mining is concerned, I believe that it's almost always about the kind of conversation that the two countries are having. But the bottom line, I think it's been very much communicated in a very strong and in no ambiguity from the Chinese government about how Ghana must apply its laws and regulations as far as mining in any shape or form is concerned, irrespective of whoever is involved. And I think that should be the way forward. That should be the conversation that we should be having. It's not about Chinese or Indians or whoever is involved. It's about how we are applying our rules and our laws as pertains to the constitution that we have, as pertains to the rules of engagement when it comes to our natural resources, who can access it and how we go about it. I think that is the bottom line. If we are not able to do that, it doesn't matter how many other nationals that we talk about being involved in illegal mining, it will not end well for us. Okay. I don't know, it's about China, it's about Ghana, right? So we can sit here and blame China, Chinese that. It's about what we have to do. What are the measures? What are the punishments in place for people that are involved in illegal mining, whether a Ghanaian or non-Ghanaian? And are we following through on this kind of punishment? It doesn't matter where the person is coming from. So I mean, that's my position. I think that is what China has always said. And I believe, I've had engagement with the Chinese ambassador, both past and present, and in most platforms, they always make this. And I don't know why we're not able to take this up to ensure, irrespective of who is involved in illegal mining, these are the measures that we take on such persons. And I believe that's the way we should go about fighting illegal mining.
Paul Frimpong, Executive Director, Africa China Center, thank you for your time. Samson, let me give you the final take as we go.
Well, I think that I don't know whether if the other 200 million is to help us do the land reclamation, because Chinese nationals have really come to destroy our land. I'm told that if you go to China, there's a whole city that the people who came to do Chinese gold here have built, and to show that they are the millionaires there. Yet if you go to the areas that communities that this Galamsey who was perpetrated, they have nothing to show at hand. And that is shows the sadness thing. From where I sit as important export association, I was so saddened because as I sat here, I talk about fruits, I talk about fruits, and that we can export to the Chinese market. What if tomorrow the same Chinese people came back and say, look, your EPA have done research and said your commodities, okay, that's 6 regions, and these are the food buffer, be it chocolate that we get to produce the end result of chocolate drinks or chocolate itself or whatever that we want to export, that or the yam or the mango or the pineapple or the coconut. You know coconut too, we export coconut as well. People don't know. We export coconut as well. So, or your chili pepper. And because of the mercury levels, we cannot substantiate whether what you are bringing to our people is not poisonous. And so we cannot, if they wake up one day and say they abandon us, or EU, or America, we are going to be in doom. Yeah. So I strongly believe that we are supporting the president and his team, and I'm happy that the NIMOS is really dealing it, and NIMOS are even warning chiefs that stay away, politicians stay away, and let them do their work. We are happy, even as national chairman for PNC, we are happy that the way the government is taking. Those who say they should go and shoot and kill, the president said, his national security hasn't given that advice. And of course, the president will not just wake up unilaterally and take such a decision without taking intelligence report from the national security. And we have to respect the president for that matter. And the president cannot also take that unilateral decision without recourse to parliament. And the president said it, that's explained. And so we all, but you see, mind you, last 2 weeks, I came back from the Asante region. Yeah. Traveling from Yinam going, you could see I'm saying left and right. And very 100 meters away to people's houses. And people are staying within, they are digging to your room, your house, and you are quiet. So you don't believe that one day you wake up, your house collapse because somebody is digging under your building. So the community themselves, we have that enshrined in our 1992 constitution that we can do citizen arrest. I saw something like that at Doma when the Doma Hene went to the bush with his chiefs, with his subjects, and they went and cased Galamsey and even arrested 2 people and then sent to police. And so I think community leaders, Obosho, Takwawo, wherever this Galamsey is happening, and most of the time you see that people who, even from other jurisdictions, not living within that area, come to destroy your land and you cannot rise up. So we, assembly members, opinion leaders, chiefs, we should also help. We should, when the soldiers come, of course, the military, the NAMO cannot be everywhere, every day, every minute, every hour. Right. But you are there. You are the residence people. You people should take the law to your own hands. Case the people when they come night, case them out. Okay,
that's Samson Asakia Wingo bit for you. Handsome Samson Asakia.
You now agree with it. So
no challenge.
I win the fight.
No challenge.
Okay, I win the fight.
But
thank you. That's my brother. Blessed
Sogah. So what you
Sogah.
owe me now is one of the smart-looking fugu, so that.
Oh, of course. I think I'm serious about it. Mr. President should have worn this. All his appointments. Look, this should have been unique. I was expecting it to be unique in dress and then Ghanaian and portray Ghana. Yeah. This is Ghana, all right, but this should have been more Ghana.
I'm taking one.
This should have been more Ghana. I wear 2. No, I wear 2.
I see.
Yes, so I wear 2.
Amazing.
So I'll give you 1.
Grateful, Samson Asakia, President of the Importers and Exporters Association, and also Chairperson of the PNC. But that's all time we'll allow us here on UpFront. I am Blessed Sogah. Until then, log on to myjoyonline.com. More stories there for you. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.